count down, press start, and then mute myself, and then it's over to you.
Okay.
So it's 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. It's me. I'm back. So I hope you all had a fantastic Yuletide festivity, celebration, whatever you want to call it. And in that vein, I'm going to talk tonight, this evening, about the light of the world. So you might be thinking, well, what is that? Because it's kind of put out there, I suppose, that, that's Jesus. Yeah, you can say that if you like. But I don't. So it's a time. It's a space of time. So I'm going to tell you a story. So for us, our new year is Samhain, because that's when we go into the underworld to be reborn, if you like, at Yule, although that technically that's solstice, because Yule is a space of time as well, and I've done a talk on that already, so I'm not going to go into that. So on the solstice, so if you think of it like literally a birth, so the solstice is the point where the baby is being born. Yeah, so we are being born during the time between solstice and the 25th of December. So the solstice doesn't always fall on the 21st. Sometimes it's the 20th, sometimes it's the 22nd. Nature doesn't work by clocks. But that's the 3-day kind of time frame. On the 25th, that's when this period starts. So after the rebirth of the sun is complete, if you like, then we enter into a time which is known as the light of the world. Yeah. So for us, so there's a few deities that kind of correspond to that, but the main one is Lu, who is he's like an all-father god, and he is the sun, basically, or if you want to get technical, the rays of the sun. The sun as a being is a feminine energy. It's the rays of the sun. So that's a slightly different take on what most people think of the sun as in terms of polarity. Yeah. So yeah, for us, it's Lu that represents this light of the world. But there are other solar deities as well who have been labeled as this. One of them is Ishtar or Inanna, depending on what your leaning is. You've also got Brid or Bridget, or as some people call her, Saint Bridget, but she's a pagan deity, so why should we don't call her that. You've also got, so I'm looking over there at my altar, because you've also got Sekhmet, who is the daughter of Ra. So she is also connected with the sun, and she is also connected with this time of what people call ascension, expansion of consciousness. Yeah, and she's very much about us taking the reins of being guardians of this planet. She's very much about that, and she's also about the Kundalini awakening. Yeah, so your self-realization, if you like. Yeah, so this time, the light of the world, it goes all the way through from the 25th of December all the way through. So on the 28th, we also have a love day, if you like. We've had a dark moon as well, and a new moon. If you look outside, if you've got a clear night, you will see the most magnificent new moon, which began yesterday, but it's really, really clear. It's like textbook new moon tonight. So go and have a look outside if you've got a clear sky. So this time, the light of the world, goes all the way through to the 6th of January, which is Epiphany. So for us, when this, and I'll get more into the light of the world in a minute, but Epiphany, obviously, you know, if you have an epiphany, what do you have? You have a realization, you have an awakening. Yeah. So at the end of this piece of time, you have an epiphany, which is a time actually for the Fae. Befana being she's known as the Christmas witch, but she's also of the realm of the fairies, the Fae. So it's a really good time. So Epiphany is, or the eve of Epiphany, is a really good time to do clearing, yeah, energetically or actual, like clearing out all your old stuff, so that we then, when I say begin anew, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of misleading, because the new doesn't begin really until, I suppose Imbolc would be the time when you start seeing things, you know, the new growth, if you like, coming up. It's like a, I suppose if you were to, I mean, you know, nature is our guide, yeah. So at the moment everything is quite dormant, but for example, the winds are clearing the debris, the stuff that isn't needed anymore. So whether it's old leaves, yeah, that were still on the trees, dead branches, all those things are being cleared at the moment by the wind. Yeah. So I think if you use nature as your guide, then you can emulate that in your magical work. Yeah. So getting back to the light of the world. So I find it really interesting that the return of the sun is then carried through to what people call the new year, yeah, 2025, which is a 9 year. So this is big endings this year, huge changes this year. I put that forward because that's what the number 9 is all about. It's all about endings and then new beginnings. So I find it fascinating that, if you know, when you think about it in terms of an actual birth, there's a massive celebration, isn't there? When a child is born, yeah, it's like a party. And there's a lightness, if you like, that comes with that. Does that make sense? So that this 2 weeks, about 2 weeks roughly, is, you know, dedicated to this time of the light of the world. And what's really interesting is the sun. I think, as far as I know, we are still in, I think that was I think this morning I looked at that. We are in a massive solar storm right now. And yes, I think it was yesterday, someone that I know posted about, we are currently being bombarded isn't the right word. We are currently being rained on. There we go. That's a bit nicer. With ionized radiation from the sun. So that might sound really scary, but all that is charged particles. Yeah, charged particles, which then excite, if you like, the atmosphere, and then that works its way down and through us. So if you're feeling really buzzy at the moment, or if you're feeling really energized, you might also be feeling tired, because, you know, high energy also brings sometimes that tiredness. If you're getting things coming up, basically what is happening is you are having light shone on anything in all the dark corners of your being, yeah, in all the dark corners on the planet. They are all being illuminated by light, yeah. And that's by, you know, but because we're in the time that we're in, and the sun's been out these past 3 days. I know yesterday was quite dark, actually, because it was raining. But the sun has been really, really bright. I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, we have fairy lights going all year round, isn't it? Fairy lights are for life, not just for Yule. That's my take on it anyway. But generally, you know, the light has been really, really bright these past few days. And again, that's not by coincidence. That is tuning in, if you like. We're attuning ourselves to this spiral. Is there a word? Spiralitical. There we go. I just made up a new word. The cyclical, spiralitical nature of, you know, what we kind of experience through nature. So I find it really interesting that the sun is doing stuff, which is very light. Light's very active at the moment. And you know something? Before we call it Crimbo. Before Crimbo, we were seeing a lot of how could I describe it? Unhappy people, I would say. Unhappy people. And what's really interesting is, because we actually went out today. We did a charity shop. We also got the dog a new bed, but as we were down there, we thought we'd do the charity shops as well. Got home just in time to do the show. And what's really interesting is, I don't know, there's been a shift. You can feel it. I don't know if you can feel this change that has happened. But there's definitely been a shift. What does that feel like? Lighter, like we've, I'm talking about as a collective, because I don't know, there were a lot of happy people about today in the town, and the town's still not very busy. It hasn't been very busy since 2020. You could argue what that is, but I believe it's less people on the planet. But yeah, lots of really, I don't know, really happy, positive, genuinely happy and positive people out there today. And it's quite, yeah, where we live, it's genuinely not like that. People don't talk to each other, for whatever reason. But that was very different today. Is that because that there's, you know, we've entered a point where, how can I say that? So everything is amplified. However, if as a collective we've tipped the balance to more to the light, then that's going to be reflected, isn't it? That's my suggestion anyway. So yeah, I find it really interesting that these things are kind of meshing together. I see. That's probably the only way I could describe it, really. And it's quite exciting as well. I just wish. I just wish. I wish. I'm going to put it out there that more people would kind of feel that, because it's, when you are aware of the spiralitical, cyclical nature of this experience that we have, you can really see how it works. And my suggestion is that if you are open-minded enough, so there's no dogma there about the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, then you're going to see more. You're going to get a bigger picture. Yeah. So I'm just looking at my calendar, because what are we today? We are the 2nd. So yeah, so Befana, who is, whoops, I don't want to do that. My laptop's doing weird things. So Befana visits at the just before, no, on the eve of Epiphany. So that is as the light of the world, as that kind of dies down, you get the Fae. So you can argue whether the Fae are good or bad. I think it's like humans, is like there's both. But I find it really interesting that she visits as that light of the world kind of it doesn't end. It's like a wave. So you then come into the dip, yeah. That she visits with things that are sweet. It's for me, it's like an amazing puzzle that fits together perfectly. I love puzzles personally. So I find that fascinating, that it fits together in that way. And of course, like I said, so that was so the light of the world begins on the 25th, and then on the 28th, so just before what people call the New Year, you have, I think it's called Love Day or something. We call it the Day for Love Consciousness. That is in there. So in the light of the world is love. I mean, I didn't make this up. This is all stuff I learned last year when I was doing, and I didn't actually get to finish it because we had all the stuff within that happened. Although I could say that's an excuse, because I could have finished it, but it takes a lot of research and on what's it called, Excel. I have a spreadsheet with all the with what I call the so the Old English word for moon is Mona. So I was creating a calendar that was, let me remember, from new moon to dark moon. So, but it it wasn't done by months, if that makes sense. So it was done in a lunar phase way, if that makes sense, rather than a set amount of months, which is why you have a leap year, because, you know, when the Romans went, oh, this is outrageous, that I was reading about it. So because it's to do with the number of moon phases not correlating to what the sun does. It's like, it's like, why does it have to be one or the other? I don't know. But what I thought I would do is, and this is relevant, is I would create a calendar to see if at any point the things like the equinoxes and the solstices actually married with the Gregorian calendar. I was really fascinated about that, because I'm guessing they would in some years they would, but in other years they wouldn't. So it's like, even that. So when you look at things like the equinoxes, the solstices, which are actual points in time where things are balanced, yeah, are they really when we're told they are? And where would you even find the real information about that? I'm fascinated by this whole journey, this whole pagan, if you like, journey with time and marking, you know, these specific points in time, if you like. And this is one of them. The light of the world is one of these times. So there is also, let me just have a look and see. So on the 10th of December, there is like a brief, what's the word I'm looking for? A brief nod to the light of the world. So if you look at that, so at the 10th of December is also marked as the light of the world. What I think that is, so if you go back to the analogy of a baby being born, that's like Braxton Hicks. That's kind of how I see that, because what you've got after that on the 10th of December is you've got three festivals. Three festivals. So you've got you've got a day for Ariane Rod, which is on the 11th. So she is a weaver. She sits at the top of a tower, which you could say is like a lighthouse because it is crystal in nature. You've then got on the 13th of December, the feast honoring the light bringer. So this is all kind of preparation for this idea of the light of the world being born, the return of the sun, yeah, or the return of the wren. So in pagan mythology, you've got the robin and the wren. You've also got the oak king and the holly king. So it's the return of the oak king that is, you know, coming up at solstice. And you've also got on the 14th of December, the festival of Rhiannon. So Rhiannon is a goddess she's a horse goddess, but she's also of the liminal space, which, you know, when you think of the birth of something, there is a point where the being that is being birthed is neither in one world or the other. So I just find this journey of witchcraft, paganism, you know, is it's just full of, it's like a rich tapestry, you know, and it is so full of threads that just weave in with the, I don't know how else to describe it. It is a woven together tapestry of so much meaning there, you know. And yeah, I wish everyone was pagan, really. Well, deep down we all are, you know. So you've got those three very poignant times after the 10th of December, where the light of the world is kind of, you know, that kind of puts its hand up, if you like, Braxton Hicks, yeah. And then you've got these three markers of kind of nature of what is to come. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You've then got the Roman Saturnalia, which is, I think there's a lot of misinformation about what happened, because no one actually knows really, unless you know, Roman. So I find it, and what you've also got, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So you got the solstice on the 21st, which is when the rebirthing begins, yeah. On the 23rd, you have another nod to love consciousness, if you like, with Hathor. So that's a day that's sacred to Hathor. And then on the 24th, so before this rebirth of the light of the world, you have, pardon me, the night of the Great Mother. It's by no coincidence, is it really? There's a celebration on the 24th before the light of the world, the sun, is reborn. Yeah, like I said, this took a little bit of research because there's not a lot out there that will cut the, and even when I did the research, I had to piece things together. It wasn't all in one place. I had to take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from this bit. Just things that I've read and come across on this journey. And I just think it's, for me, and I know for Ian as well, this journey is, I don't know, it's just so it's ancient. It's ancient. It's ancient stuff. Yeah, stuff. So what else can I say about the light of the world? Well, what's really interesting, oh, hang on, I've got a bit of paper here. Yeah, okay, so yeah, New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions are, if you like, a remnant of the kind of idea of this light of the world. And of a birthing of new ideas, if you like, and your intentions. Yeah. So yeah, most people then, okay, so at the new year, what most people call the new year, yeah, they're starting anew. They're starting something fresh. Yeah, I like that. And they put the old one, the older year, behind them. Yeah. Thank you, Ian, for that. I like that. I mean, what I find really interesting around where we live, so some people have taken their lights down, yeah, but there's a lot of people who have left their lights up, yeah. So they don't necessarily take. Some people take them down, day after Boxing Day, everything's gone. But there's still a lot of lights. The light is still here, and in fact, isn't it? So I think 12th night. Yeah, 12th night is the 5th of January. So 12th night is when you're supposed to take your decorations down by, yeah? That's when the light of the world ends, if you like. I find that quite interesting. So, most people out there go, oh, you must take your decorations down before Epiphany. Well, most people don't call it Epiphany now, they call it 12th night. So they're unconsciously, they're still recognizing a part of the mythology, if you like, of this, a world that is underneath it all pagan, yeah, and attached to nature, very much like I'm doing a thing with my fingers here, very much woven into, nature, yeah. But they don't know it. They don't realize it. I find that fascinating. So we do not take our decorations down when the light of the world ends. We keep ours up. I mean, I don't usually take them down on the 21st of January when late Yule ends, but they're usually down about a week before that, probably. So yeah, we break that rule, if you like, of you must take your decorations down before 12th night. Well, who says? Because I don't know, for us, we enjoy the light. We enjoy the fairy lights. And if we are keeping that light alive, yeah, then we do that with fairy lights, and all the other things that come with the celebration of Yule, which for us doesn't end until the 21st of January. And there is actually, so I think it's Norse, I think it's Norse that have their, now is that a full moon? I don't know, it might be. Let me just check that. Full moon, 1, 2, 1, 2, hang on, bear with me, 3, 4, yes. So for the Norse folk, their Yule is the first full moon of what people call the new year. So that would be the first full moon. Oh, hang on, let me get this right. The first full moon after solstice. That's when the Norse celebrate Yule. So I find it quite interesting, actually, that there's, because that's, Yule is all about the wheel, But again, it's an illumination. It's on the full moon, so that's the peak of the lunar illumination. So we're still talking about light here. We're still talking about the light of the world, which is, for the Norse folk, continues, if you like, all the way to that first full moon after the solstice, which this year is on the 13th of January. So there's changes. Their Yule is changeable, which is interesting. There is also, now I'm not sure what, okay, so on that is the 9th of January, there is, so this could, I haven't delved into this as much, but on the 9th of January, there's this would be an Egyptian celebration of, that would be the light, because, yeah, that's my hypothesis. I haven't gone into this as much. So it's called the Throne of Egypt on the 9th of January. So what were the Egyptians all about? They were all about the sun. Their big thing was the sun and the god Ra. So again, it's really interesting that even though, if you like, the light of the world, that time, has kind of ended, if you like, you are still having these very interesting, it's fascinating, these celebrations of the light in the month that people call January. And again, when you look at nature, if you look at a tree now, most trees have already started budding. They started budding, like back in November, maybe even October. So even before the leaves are falling off the trees are doing that. They're continuing that spiralitic, I think that was the word, cyclical cycle. Yeah. Also, interestingly, so I don't know how many countries have kings, but you certainly get well, our king made a Christmas Day speech or a New Year's Day speech, I don't know. But when you look at the idea of the solstice and that there's a battle between kings, Oak King, Holly King, yeah. So this is as this rebirth is taking place, you have, I don't know, kings around the world, possibly, marking it, possibly. But certainly if they're not doing that on the solstice, they're certainly marking the 25th and or the 1st of January. So there's a again, it's like it's tapping into something that is older than, they probably know what they're doing, but they present it as something else. That makes sense. You have a lot of celebrations. There's a lot, isn't there? When you look at it, there's fireworks. Yeah. What are they about? Light. Yeah. So this idea of light of the world, it has so many layers to it. Even when you look at like concerts that are in churches and stuff like that, and cathedrals, they're always they're not dimly lit, are they? They really are not. This is a time of huge light. And you could say that there are more celebrations during this time of the light of the world than at any other time. So this very pagan time of year. So my wish, I wish everyone was pagan. Maybe that's actually true, because people are celebrating a very nature path, pagan energy without necessarily realizing they do it. It's like it's unconscious. That's really cool. So there's a real magic there, especially if you know deep down that you're not just a flesh suit walking around being a robot. Yeah, you are light. You are more, so much more than what we are told we are. That program that tells us that we're born, we live, and we die, and that's it. It's finished. I don't think so, actually. I think there's a lot more going on than that. But that's a conversation for another time. Even all the, there's a ritual going on when you think about it. In the middle of this light of the world, you've got New Year's Eve, what people call New Year's Eve, yeah? And that's a big energy. That's a massive energy. Huge, humongous, gigantic. And again, I mean, obviously there's alcohol and all that crap, but what you get on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, is the light, the fireworks, the light. It's all about the light. I don't think I've ever known a New Year's Eve that hasn't involved fireworks. It might not be me having the fireworks, but I'll be seeing fireworks somewhere. You can hear them, you can see them. I don't think you could be anywhere in the world and not hear them at a distance or see them unless you're out in the sticks somewhere. And what I find really interesting about that is the next morning you got the fog from like all that celebration, yeah, all that light then brings that liminal space. I find that fascinating. I really do. Anyway. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, the other thing that happens during this time of the light of the world. So if you're shining light on something dark, it's going to bring that dark stuff to the top. Or if you think of it another way, you shed the things that don't serve you anymore. So what is it? It's a detox. Yeah. So what do a lot of people get this time of year? What people call colds and flu, which essentially is a detox. It's your body getting rid of stuff as the light is shining on you, so to speak. Yeah. because it's an energy. It's an energy that we are walking through. Yeah, it's an energy that is passing through us, however you want to see it. And yeah, especially at the moment, we're in solar maximum, and the light that is moving through us, or that we're walking through, is highly charged. So, some people would be experiencing a detox more than others, so I would suggest. But what happens is when you allow that stuff that doesn't serve you anymore to pass through and exit, so to speak, what you then have is you have a cleaner vessel for more light to get my words around the right way, for more light to enter, to fill your vessel. Yeah, that makes sense. Hang on, I'm just reading something here. So yeah, just one other thing before I stop and open it up for questions. So when you look at Quimbo, yeah, it's very much centered around, and we experienced that this year. We experienced Christmas Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day with the grandchildren. Yeah, it's a very different experience, actually. So it's all centered around children. So what are children? They are, people might say they're the light of their lives. Yeah, because they are very beacony, for want of a better word, because they, until they're, programmed with all the crap from school and everything, they're very, they emit love. Yeah, that's what I'd say. And you've also got, another thing that ties into the light of the world is, people mend bridges sometimes. Some people don't. But, a lot of those things that, people are arguing about and disagreeing about, they go, do you know what? let's yeah, even if it's just for one day, let's not do that. So I think that's what that brings. That's what the light of the world brings. Yeah. And so I'm going to stop waffling. And I'll open it up if anyone wants to share their experiences or, what they might be going through at the moment.
Hi, Angie.
Hello.
Happy New Gregorian Year.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add on to what you've been talking about, not so much a question, but just an observation, was that I've been sort of doing a bit of background research and a bit more in depth rather than just taking things on face value. And what I've realised is that the power of 3 is all over the Yuletide and winter solstice celebrations. And I'll give you an example of this, which I really literally just sort of light bulb moment. The 12 days, if you count backwards from the 21st, which is the solstice of December, if you count back, it takes you 12 days. From the 21st, you end up at the 10th of December.
Yep.
And if you count forward from the 21st, including from the actual 21st day, count that as one, then you end up at the 1st of January. Now, also, numerologically, 12, 1, 2 is 3.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 on either side of the winter solstice, 33.
Yeah.
The solstice, or the sun, stays dormant for 3 days.
Yeah.
Till it rises on the 24th.
Yeah.
24 minus 3 is 21. 21, 2 plus 1 is 3.
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant.
So the power of 3 is all over the place. And wasn't it 3 stars in the night sky that formed together to create a bright star, which was supposedly the Star of Bethlehem?
Yes, because we had that in 2021. It was Jupiter,
Right.
Venus, and another one. Because we saw it the day before it was at its peak because it was cloudy on that day. But I saw photos people had taken of that alignment, and it was phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. So there you go again. There's 3 again there. So
yeah. 3 wise men.
Yeah. Well, that's the 3 wise men is the sort of
the stars.
Sort of what's the word? The anamorphic description of the 3 stars.
Yes.
It was the 3 stars that came, or something like that. I've sort of lost the will to entertain anything to do with the Middle Eastern cult that's been brought over and used to enslave humanity in the West. So no, I tend not to even bother about that now. I take great pride and pleasure in when people say, "Oh, Merry Christmas." Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't celebrate Christmas. And watching the cogs burn and create steam when you explain that you only celebrate the Yuletide and winter solstice, and they can't comprehend that. Which kind of sort of brought to mind what you was talking about earlier, about the way that people celebrate sort of like Christmas for that one day.
Yeah.
And if you mention the solstice or if you mention Yuletide, there's no comprehension there anymore. They've been that brainwashed by this Middle Eastern cult that they don't even know anymore what these words represent or mean. And a good example of that is if you go to Amazon and search for Yuletide greetings cards, you will only get Christmas cards. You will not get Yuletide cards. There isn't any. And winter solstice is even less.
Yeah.
But believe me, I have tried, and you cannot find them. And if you type in Yuletide anyway, you will automatically get Christmas in its replacement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought I'd chuck that one
There's
in.
a gap in the market there, Andy.
There is indeed. There certainly is, especially for bulk banging. There are some excellent Yuletide cards, individual ones, that I can't remember the lady's name now, but she does some amazing artwork, but they're like £5 a card.
Yeah.
And so if you've got 10 people you want to send a card, that's 50 quid.
Yeah.
I'm not spending 50 quid on cards. So yeah, it would be good if you could get these cards where you can get like a pack of 30 for $6.99.
Yeah.
But what I've ended up doing, what I now do is on Amazon they do a pack of 24 wildlife winter cards, and there's a mix of like robins, geese, foxes, stags, with nothing wrote on them whatsoever, so you can write your own message. So then I just write inside solstice and Yuletide blessings, all the best for the coming year, whatever the new coming year is. It's 2025 this time.
Yeah.
And do it that way. But yes, it would be good. So we've got Nina on, and we've got Jackie on. If I remember rightly, Nina's down in Australia. So
wow,
there will be. It's a different hemisphere altogether.
Yeah,
there. And
absolutely.
I do know that Jackie's been researching heavily recently on the solstice Yuletide subject. So I don't know if either of Nina or Jackie, if you want to jump in with anything. Or not. Maybe not. But no, right, okay. Thank you very much, Angie. I'm going to mute myself now, and I'll let you finish off, and I'll poise my finger over the stop recording button for when your final words are final.
My final words are final. Yeah, I suppose where I would kind of land with that is, as beings of light, which we are. And in fact, everything is light, from this cigarette, to this lighter, to our tree, to the gong that's over there, to the light that I've got here. Otherwise it'd be really dark and you wouldn't be able to see me. Everything, even the food that you eat, is light. Everything is made of light. So the light of the world isn't really just those nearly 2 weeks. It's everything all the time. And just that one little thing it could be a massive step into fully realizing what and who you are. So have a think about it. That's what I'd say.